Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Scott here, and we're going to explore some printmaking today. So what you need out is this little square that you would have received in a bag from school a little bit before winter break. We sent some bags home, so most of the students came and got theirs. If you don't have this little piece of foam from that bag, then look around and see if you have a meat tray or a piece of foam that you could cut into a 2-inch square. And then you're going to need one of the white pieces of paper from that same bag. If you don't have that, a piece of copy paper will do. It's a little thinner, so the result's going to be a little different, but it will still work. So you're definitely going to need your foam, and you're going to need that white paper. You're going to need markers, washable markers, and a little cup of water with a brush, or a Q-tip would work, and a pencil. And your pencil, if you can kind of get rid of the super sharp end, we need it to be a little bit dull today, actually. So you need a dull-ended pencil, and you may need a pair of scissors. So those are just some things you need to get out in order to get ready for this. The first thing we're going to do is, our goal is to make something like this, where we are printing a heart that we've pressed in with our pencil to the foam, a heart design. We're going to print it 4 times. So on this larger piece of paper, we're going to need to map out how much paper we need. And there's lots of ways to do this. You could measure it out with a ruler. But I think for the age of students that we're working with today, for kindergarten to 2nd grade students, just tracing these, the styrofoam square, just matched up all together here in this way that you're seeing me do, is probably the best way and the easiest way for them to understand to map out their paper. And then we're just going to cut the paper to that size. And you can save the rest of the paper to explore with when you're finished if you want to, because you could continue printing as much as you want with your piece of foam. Now in my video it's a little hard with the reflection. There we go, you can see my pencil lines now, I think. Okay, so next we're going to get ready our piece of foam, and it's near Valentine's Day, so I thought I would go with the heart theme. We're going to do something simple and just really lightly at first. We're going to map out a heart shape. So I'm actually going to do that first for you with a permanent marker. Please don't use a permanent marker. I'm just doing this so that you can see on my screen. We're going to create just one side of the heart. And then I have the best luck if I turn mine around this way to do the other side of the heart. But you can do it any way you wish. To just go ahead and draw your heart shape. My 2 sides of my heart are a little different, but that's really okay. So then you're going to take your pencil, once you have that planned out lightly, and you're going to press harder over your drawing. And we're trying to make an indentation in the foam. The parts that go down in the indentation don't pick up the marker that we're going to put on top to print with. So it causes the lines to stay white. Okay, so go ahead and press hard, and you don't want to go all the way through the back, but you do want to press pretty hard where you can feel a nice indentation there. And then we're just going to pick 2 different patterns. I chose dots and crisscross lines. We've talked a lot about patterns at school this year, so any kind of repeated shape or line is something that you could try. We're going to put one kind of pattern in the heart and a different pattern outside the heart. Okay, so for mine this time I think I'll try triangles inside my heart. And I'm just repeating triangle shapes to fill my heart. And And let's see if we've got it balanced out pretty full of our pattern. And then in the outside of my heart this time, I think I'll just draw some lines that come out to the edge of the square. Almost like this, the heart is the sun, and these are the rays coming out. You could do swirls, you could do squares, you could do curvy lines, really any type of repeated line or shape. All right, so then the next step, just kind of run your hand across and make sure that you've pressed hard enough where there's a dent and you can feel all those lines nicely. All right, and so then the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to ink up our foam plate, our foam square. Sometimes in printmaking they call it a plate. So we're going to talk about color. When you're choosing your colors that are near each other on the color wheel really blend well together. They work well together. Colors that are across from the color wheel are going to help each other stand out, which is a great quality. But if you mix them, they're going to turn more brownish and mucky. So I just want you to be aware of that when you're picking your colors. Go ahead and choose any ones you want. If you want to use opposite colors, that's okay. Just remember that if you overlap them a little bit, you're going to get some areas that are brownish or kind of mucky. So you want them to be really separate if you're choosing opposites or complementary colors. I chose mostly colors that are warm colors, and those all work really nicely. You could also go with a cool color around the other side of the color wheel, and those work nicely too. So I'm going to give you freedom to choose your colors. What I want you to do is, in each one of these squares, we're going to ink up our foam a little bit differently. So whatever color you put in the middle, I want you to pick a new color for each square. And whatever color you pick in the background, I want you to pick a new color for each square as well. All right, so let's start our first try. I'm going to do pink in the middle. And I'm using my marker on its side. The marker has a thin point to draw with that makes a thin line, and it has a thick side. And if I hold it a little bit more to the side, it just really puts the color down evenly and nicely as I rub it along here. So it's kind of like I'm just rubbing it on the side of the marker. And then I need to pick the second color. I'll choose orange this time for the outside. And I'm just rubbing it along. You can turn your square as you need to. So you try not to put your fingers in a place where you're rubbing off the marker, then there won't be any color in that spot. So we want to try to keep our fingers off of the top of the piece of foam. The next thing that's an important step is to wet the paper. So I'm going to wet my first square with some water on the paper. And this just helps this color to release better onto the paper. And then I'm going to match up my square. I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to hold it with one hand, and I'm going to rub it with the other all the way to the corners. And I'm going to lift up and see how it turned out. All right, and so there's my first print. From there, I'm going to wipe my foam off. Whoops, wipe my foam. You don't want the foam to be wet because then the markers don't work very well, so make sure the foam isn't wet or anything, but you want to wipe it off from the color you used before, and then you're going to choose 2 fresh colors and do the same process 3 more times to fill your heart art. Hope you have fun trying out printmaking this week. Have a great week.